We have in studio, in our makeshift studio here over at the Franklin in Marcy, by the way. It's same owners as the Franklin Hotel in Rome, the Vessios. Luke Perry from Utica College is in here. Good morning, Luke. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great.
So this is Joe time. Senator Joe Griffo. He's running for re-election, so let's grill him. Come on. let's go.
I think he's prognosticated that I have a pretty good shot at.
Yeah, I think you're going to be okay.
As long as Lorraine votes for me.
Boy, we are Luke. We are close here as we're getting down to the wire here in the general election just around the corner. NY22. You have the midterms in general. There's a lot to consider here right now.
It is. I mean, it's an interesting political climate. Less than a month ago with the election nationally. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. It seems like most political scientists believe that the Democrats have a very good shot to win the House, but the Senate's probably going to be held by Republicans. So, of course, that depends who turns out and how that goes.
So do you think the Kavanaugh hearings, what role do you feel that ends up playing? We have a little more time to kind of watch this dust settle a little bit here.
I think people reacted to that with their preconceived notions about whether they liked him or not, and they were queued up by their partisan inclinations to the left or the right. So I don't know if that's going to change the needle all that much. Maybe in the short term it helps Republicans because they're happy that they were able to secure another nominee in the court.
It did energize. Did you see any of Kanye West in the Oval Office yesterday?
No.
Boy, oh boy. I mean,
don't play it for the kids.
I only have so much time, and it doesn't go towards that.
I got to tell you, Joe. I fought back. I'm thinking, okay, I want to be really fair here because, presidents have had. For God's sakes, this president had Kim Kardashian in, but she actually.
Wait, Elvis was at the White House
with Nixon. And that's the only thing I could think of is go back to Nixon with Elvis, but that was respectful. He wasn't dropping the F-bomb. When Elvis did talk, you could figure out what he was actually saying.
Oh, thank you.
Just it was a great impression. This was just like you needed somebody to decipher what came out of it.
Well, here's the interesting thing. So the celebrities, particularly the Hollywood type, tend to support the Democrats, and African Americans tend to support Democrats over 90% nationally. So I think Donald Trump, being who he is, likes the idea of star power and is happy to have those types of people come visit if they're willing.
Two African Americans, and Jim Brown and Kanye West. At least Jim Brown when he talks, and he's a little angry, Jim Brown, but. You know what he's saying. Kanye West, I do not know what the hell was going on.
You're going to tell Jim Brown he's angry to his face?
Yeah, that's right. No.
He'll run you over.
Let's see, the memo. The memo is this latest memo. And on this case, the dust is kind of settled, but Claudia Tenney defended that. Thugs. The Brindisi family, thugs and criminals.
Well, politically, I think it's an interesting play in that she's kind of going in both directions. On the one hand, she says, well, I know Anthony Brindisi, and he's a fine person, and there's not a problem there. But on the other hand, she has also defended sort of the concern around security and these types of things, and that's clearly a larger issue. She's made an issue about the destruction of signs and these types of things. I think it's a political move. It's a risky one. Typically, as we all know, families are sort of left alone when it comes to campaigns, even as cutthroat as they can be. But doesn't seem to be the case here.
Are you confident in polling? A new AARP poll has Brindisi up by 13 points. Do you have confidence in polling this year?
I'm confident in independent polls, particularly those conducted by political scientists. When they're done
Siena had it pretty much a dead heat.
Right, it was close. So I put a little more reliance in those types of polls than the ones solicited by organizations. That doesn't mean that they're not legitimate and they should be completely dismissed, but there's ways that you can conduct polls to try to massage numbers in certain ways. So I tend to go for the independent, objective analysis. And again, that's just an estimate. There's a margin of error, as you know, is plus or minus 5, and a little differences here and there. It could change the outcome. It's like a picture. You take a picture of the place. It's not the same as being there, but you can have an idea where things are at.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds cliche, but the poll that matters most, obviously, is on Election Day.
Yeah,
and,
you're right.
We've seen significant inconsistencies with polls and what happens on Election Day, and then we've seen some that have been brilliant. I mean, that's how Zogby originally called an election that nobody expected. Right? So I don't understand all the technical aspects like Dr. Perry, But if you do it the right way, particularly now you're dealing with mobile devices, not landlines, so there's just so many factors that come into that. But I know he's focusing on D.C., but I want to make sure we remember that this is a critical year in Albany, too, and that there's a lot at risk at state government. You have a gubernatorial election. All the statewide officers are up. The entire legislature's up. And I think there's a lot of glamour and interest and excitement in the Washington situation and what's taking place, and rightly so and understandably so. But I think we need to, particularly for everybody that lives in New York, pay attention to what's going on in New York, because this is going to be pretty interesting this year, too.